Well, this is excessive. You're the Airbus A380, which means you are not really an airplane. You are an aviation hallucination that somehow received certification. A double-decker commercial jet designed during a period when the industry briefly convinced itself that the future of flying involved making airports, boarding processes, and taxiways deal with something roughly the size of a suburban argument. You were built to solve a very specific problem. Too many people wanted to fly between major hubs, and airports were running out of slots. The elegant solution, according to Airbus, was not more flights or better scheduling, but what if one airplane was simply massive? So that became you. 2 full decks, 4 engines, a wingspan so wide it makes nearby aircraft look like emotional support devices. You are less a jet and more a declaration. An aircraft designed by people who looked at the Boeing 747 and thought, that's cute. And for a while this looked smart. The logic made sense on paper. Big airports, big routes, big demand. Airlines would carry enormous numbers of passengers between giant hub cities, and then smaller planes would distribute them onward like luxury cattle. Very efficient, very strategic, very keynote presentation. The only issue, unfortunately, was reality, because while passengers love the idea of a massive, glamorous super jumbo, airlines also enjoy things like flexibility, fuel efficiency, and not having to redesign half an airport just because your wing showed up. That's the strange thing about your life. People adore you in theory. Passengers see you at the gate and react like they've encountered a celebrity. There's an immediate shift in tone. Suddenly the flight feels important, romantic even. An A380 boarding does not feel like normal boarding. It feels like joining an expedition. People post photos, they mention the aircraft type unprompted. Nobody ever says, oh nice, I'm on a 737. But they absolutely say, it's the A380, usually with the voice of someone who thinks they've won something. And to be fair, from a passenger perspective, you are great, quiet, smooth, spacious, at least by modern aviation standards. You make other planes feel like they were designed by accountants. You have staircases, which is never not funny on a plane. Staircases imply dignity, or a cruise ship. Either way, it's working. Even economy on you feels less insulting than economy on most other aircraft, which is a genuinely impressive achievement in an industry that has spent years trying to monetize kneecap compression. Airlines, however, have a more complicated relationship with you, because while passengers see majesty, airlines see arithmetic, and arithmetic is where your life gets awkward. You need the right route, the right airport, the right demand, the right timing, the right fuel economics, the right everything. If one variable drifts slightly out of place, suddenly operating a giant 4-engine palace begins to look less like strategic genius and more like bringing a chandelier to a camping trip. Smaller twin-engine aircraft got better. Routes became more point-to-point. Flexibility won, efficiency won. The industry gradually moved toward aircraft that were less glamorous but much better at quietly making money, which is, unfortunately, the love language of aviation. Boring, I know, but they can't help what they love. Hashtag forever alone. So you became something rare and strange, an airplane that is iconic, beloved by passengers, and a pariah. That's a difficult identity to carry when you also weigh hundreds of tons. Some airlines embraced you, others flirted briefly and then backed away, realizing they already have expensive enough alimony payments. Airports had to adapt to you, gates had to adapt to you, ground crews had to adapt to you, taxiways had to adapt to you. You are, in many ways, what happens when an aircraft arrives with the energy of a visiting monarch. Everything around you must make arrangements, and yet, when you work, you really work. Full of passengers, long-haul route, proper hub operation, big terminal, big runway, big demand. In that environment, you don't just make sense. You feel perfect, like aviation briefly remembered how to dream, because that's your real appeal, isn't it? You are not merely transportation. You are spectacle that happens to land. You're the A380, the airplane equivalent of a grand piano in an age of Bluetooth speakers. Magnificent, impractical, deeply loved by people who do not personally have to optimize fleet utilization. You are what happens when aviation forgets to be modest, and for that, honestly, people will probably love you forever.